This is the first time any of us have been involved in a campaign, but over the last couple of years, I have been approached by people on both sides of the aisle to run for office. And one meeting in particular stands out. And it was a couple years ago, a senator asked me and a group of us to meet at Lemai Cafe to pitch the idea of running for public office. And we sat down. The senator started by talking a little bit about his background. He graduated from Georgetown, came back home, got a great job, everything was going according to plan until someone running for governor asked him if he was ready to serve his island. So he said he was, and that started his journey into public service and eventually into politics. So he finished giving the speech, and then we each went around the room, and the next up was a young attorney who was a writer, written several books, traveled around the world, very, a genius, one of the smartest people I've ever met. And then it was my turn, and I really focused on the fact that I'm a rule follower. I didn't drink alcohol until I was 19, even though the drinking age was 18. And I skipped 2 days in high school. One was to have clam chowder at Winchell's. And I remember going through this and ending it, and there was a little bit of a quiet time, and the senator looks at me and he says, "Wow, you have led a boring life." And the least you could do is dedicate the rest of it to public service. Watching this man later on in my life, I see every opportunity that he had, he always complimented his staff. He always talked about how smart his staff were, how hardworking his staff were, and it started giving me an idea of the kind of leader this man was. You could tell that he loved his staff, and his staff loved him, and they were willing to do anything for him. So over the last couple of weeks, I've been asked questions, very specific questions. If you are elected, what will you do in this particular instance? And sometimes I don't have the answer. And there are some people who will say, well, that just goes to show you don't have experience, right? And I think it's a real shallow way of looking at experience to think that a leader is someone who goes in without setting a foot in an office telling people how to do their jobs, right? And I think leadership, as exemplified by this senator, is trusting your staff and them trusting you. So this election, Guam needs to ask itself, do we want experienced politicians or do we want leaders? I ask for your vote on August 25th and November 5th. I wasn't ready in Lemai Cafe, but I'm ready now. Thank you.